Hey everybody, Brent coming at you. I'm gonna do a review on the new Threshold album, and all I have to say is progressive metal is in great hands, and this album you need to check out.
British prog rockers Threshold have returned with their 12th studio album titled Dividing Lines. This is the first since 2017's conceptual album Legends of the Shire, which in fact is a great album. You should check it out. The band are describing this new album as the darker, moodier, older brother to that. The album is shorter in length and more concise, and I would say definitely heavier than Legends of the Shire. The songs have an intensity throughout. Lyrically, they touch on objects and themes such as alienation, the bad side computers with online disinformation, climate change, and of course the happy nuclear warfare. So not a happy set of songs as such. The band remained the same from their last outing with Glenn Morgan on vocals, Carl Groom on lead guitar, Richard West on keyboards, Joanne James on drums, and finally Steve Anderson on bass. For those unaware, the band has been around since the late 80s with their debut Wounded Land coming out in 1992. A little bit of band history for you. Both Carl and Richard appeared on the album Wounded Land, and Carl is the only actual founding member of the group. Glenn Morgan first joined the band in '93, but only stayed for 3 years. He returned in 2017. Strangely, both times he took over for Damian Wilson, who is now with Arena. The rhythm section has been in place since the early 2000s. Johan joined in 2000, and to be followed by Steve in 2003. Now, what about the album? The album is comprised of 10 songs, ranging from 4 to 11 minutes and totaling over just an hour of music. Opening song, Haunted, has a thumping, pounding intro and leads with a tasty, heavy riff. There are plenty of little touches that add to the track, such as the bass line when the song drops to more of an acoustic vibe and the echo of the backing vocals on I Will Remember section. Even the sweet change of tempo for the solo is executed absolutely beautifully. This is definitely one of the highlights of the album. And after Haunted, we have another great track called Hall of Echoes. And this is a look at the social media bubbles that folks can end up in where you only get to hear one point of view, as not to hear others who might see things differently. What is the most impressive thing about the song is how catchy the damn thing is, despite the lyrical theme being quite dark, which is actually a recurring theme on this album. The riffage at points is almost in a Dream Theater territory. I rather like the use of the whispered vocals. They sound almost conspiratorial and slightly worrying. Very well thought out, and another great song and another highlight of the album. Following Hall of Echoes, we have a song called Let It Burn, which is a cry to protect the only planet we have. We have two options: try to make relevant changes, or, as the song suggests, let it burn. Musically, it goes from slower, mournful to fast, an oncoming urgency as the song continues before it becomes reflective on a beautiful guitar solo. Glenn's vocals are particularly good on this song, and I feel that they are very powerful and dripping in emotion. And after Let It Burn, we have a song called Silenced. Silence starts with a robotic-style vocal and some use of some heavy synth, featuring a huge chorus and effects that has strangely commercial edge to it, and you can see why this was the first single released from it. Again, this is perhaps focused around the alienation, felt especially online when some people feel they cannot express how they really feel, and they're feeling that they are pushed to one side and wanting to shout out in anger. And coming up next, we have the first of two epics, this one being called The Domino Effect. What really stands out about these two epic tracks is they both have no multiple time changes and no feeling of cramming as much as possible into them. Rather, each track allows time for each section to be enjoyed as it flows into the next part. The Domino Effect has a very symphonic sound due to the orchestrations added to it. When it drops down to piano and vocals, I did think of bands like Frost and perhaps even later Ari Marillion. The guitar work is heading to a Pink Floyd territory. And this song has one of the best vocal lines I've heard in a long time. Put us back in our box till our violence stops, which is very impassioned. Complex, the next song kicks off with a heavy riff and has a guitar melody over it, and it has plenty of keys thrown into the mix. The angle on this song is just how much information we have at our fingertips, but of course we can't believe everything. Just how do we figure out the fact or fiction? Another great highlight of the album. Alright, coming next up on the album is my favorite song of the album, called King of Nothing, which hints at the cult of personality. Musically, it is rather atmospheric, with the opening having a spacey vibe, but it still has some fine riffs to bang your head to. Like most songs on this album, there are lots of little additions, fills, etc. that you notice on repeat plays, keeping the whole thing interesting and fresh. Next, we have a song called Lost Along the Way. This is probably the most pop rock they get here. And following Lost, we have a song called Run, and this is the shortest song on the album that seems more of a personal piece, possibly about parents not standing by a child when needed. The ending is particularly good and worth waiting for. These two songs are definitely the weakest on the album. And now we've come to the end of the album with the song Defense Condition. This is a very extremely contagious song with plenty of melody and feeling. It's about the fear of what might happen and how we are manipulated by the media. There are some great sound effects of voice speaking throughout intercoms like in a war room, adding to the drama of the song. And my final thoughts on the album are, this album has plenty going on, so each play seems to bring something else to enjoy. Excellent album by an excellent British band. And as a rating, I'm giving it a 91%. Thanks for your time, guys. Catch you later.
Hey guys, welcome back. As usual, I'm going to show you the physical copy if I have the album. There's the front cover of the CD. Sorry about the glare. There's the back cover. There's the disc itself. There is the inlay, back of the booklet. All right. Of course, there's the front again. And we have lyrics. More lyrics. A who's who of the band, credits. More lyrics. And yeah, you guessed it, more lyrics. And then we have the track selection on the back. All right, make sure you check this album out. You will not be disappointed. Till next time, take care as always. Look after each other. And we'll talk with you soon. Good night.